Princess Lyra stepped lightly across the polished floor of the Academy of Galactic Command. Her cloak shimmered faintly under the lights, reflecting her royal status. She was tall, elegant, and carried herself with the poise of someone who had been respected and obeyed all her life. Her sharp eyes scanned the room with quiet curiosity. Around her, alien trainees from countless worlds practiced in simulators, trained in hand-to-hand combat, or prepared ships for training exercises. The academy was a place of learning, of discipline, and of preparation for the challenges of the galaxy. Lyra had visited the academy many times before, but this time was different. She was not just observing, she was judging. The Interstellar Council had asked her to report back on potential candidates for an upcoming mission. A mission that might involve exploring uncharted regions of space, or even facing dangerous threats that no one had yet named. As she walked, her eyes fell on a small figure hunched over a simulator. The figure was human, a young man with dark hair and bright, intelligent eyes, but he moved awkwardly. His hands shook slightly as he tried to control the simulator, and he muttered to himself under his breath. He was clearly struggling, and yet there was something determined about him. Lyra raised an eyebrow. "Just a trainee," she said quietly to herself, her voice carrying a hint of amusement. "I doubt he can survive a real mission. He can barely manage a simulator." The human did not notice her. He was focused entirely on the spinning asteroids on the simulator's screen. His brow furrowed as he calculated angles and velocities faster than most humans could manage. Finally, with a deep breath, he pressed the final sequence of buttons. The simulator's display brightened, signaling success. He leaned back, exhausted, but a small, proud smile touched his lips. Lyra's lips twitched in a barely perceptible smirk. As she moved forward, she heard murmurs around the room. Alien trainees were quietly commenting on the human's performance. Some were impressed. Others were skeptical. But none dared speak too loudly in front of a princess. Lyra, of course, ignored them. She was here to judge, not to socialize. "Next, we will begin the asteroid navigation exercise," said Instructor Veron, a tall alien with 4 arms and glowing eyes. "All trainees, prepare your simulators. This exercise will test your reaction, decision-making, and strategy under pressure. Remember, a real mission may involve life and death choices." Lyra's eyes narrowed. She watched as the human trainee, Jarek, took his place at a new simulator. He moved slowly at first, adjusting his controls and taking deep breaths. Lyra could see his hesitation, his lack of confidence. It only confirmed her first impression. He was inexperienced, unworthy of attention. The simulators activated, and holographic asteroids filled the room. The other trainees immediately took control, weaving their ships through the dense field with practiced skill. Lyra's attention remained on Jarek. He fumbled at first, narrowly avoiding collisions, and the alien trainees around him exchanged skeptical glances. But then, something changed. Jarek's movements became smoother. He began to anticipate the motion of the asteroids, using angles and momentum in ways that seemed unusual, even risky. He dodged through narrow spaces, sometimes taking paths that made the other trainees gasp. Despite his small size and lack of experience, he seemed to see the patterns in the chaos and respond faster than anyone expected. Lyra's lips pressed into a thin line. She felt a flicker of surprise but quickly suppressed it. Still just luck, she thought. No one can survive the real galaxy with luck alone. The simulation ended, and a small chime announced the results. Jarek had completed the course with a score that placed him in the top 10 of the trainees. His chest heaved as he removed his headset, sweat running down his temples. Around him, some of the alien trainees nodded in respect. Others whispered, still unsure how to feel about this human. Instructor Varan approached, his glowing eyes scanning the results. "Interesting," he murmured. "You have potential, Jarek. Perhaps more than we first assumed. Jarek nodded, silent, letting his performance speak for him. Lyra, however, was unconvinced. She turned on her heel, walking past the instructor and the trainees. Potential does not mean readiness, she muttered, loud enough for no one to ignore. I doubt he can handle real danger. As she left the training hall, an alarm sounded across the academy. A sharp, urgent tone echoed through the corridors and simulators. Lyra stopped mid-step, her sharp eyes scanning the information display. Unidentified ships approaching the planet, a cadet shouted. Lyra's heart quickened not from fear, but from curiosity. The instructors immediately issued orders. Trainees rushed to stations, preparing defensive maneuvers. The planet had sensors and automated defenses, but these ships were moving in ways that suggested they were not ordinary pirates. These were predators. Apex predators. Lyra glanced around. Some trainees froze, unsure what to do. Most instructors acted quickly, but there was chaos in the air. Then, she noticed Jarek. He was standing slightly apart, watching the readouts. He didn't panic. He didn't hesitate. Instead, he began tapping commands into the nearest control panel. Lyra frowned. What was he doing? He was just a trainee. He should be hiding, or following orders, or panicking like the rest. But Jarek's actions began to make sense. He was rerouting power, activating defense drones, and sending small alerts to trainees in the nearby corridors. He used calm, precise movements, his mind racing faster than anyone else in the room. Lyra's brow furrowed. Could it be that he actually knew what he was doing? The alarm grew louder as the apex predators closed in. Their ships were massive, sleek, and dangerous, with energy fields that pulsed with a low, threatening hum. Many trainees panicked, shouting to each other, unsure where to go or what to do. Lyra, despite herself, felt a surge of admiration, though she would never admit it aloud. She had assumed Jarek was weak, inexperienced, just another human who could be ignored. But now he was moving with purpose, with focus. He was doing what she had expected no human could do, taking initiative in the face of real danger. Follow my instructions, Jarek called calmly to the nearest trainees. Move the drones to the upper orbit. Use the lateral fields to shield the station. The cadets hesitated, but then they began to obey. Slowly, they moved in unison under Jarek's guidance. Even Instructor Veron stepped back, watching as the human trainee coordinated actions far beyond his expected rank. Lyra remained silent, watching. She could not understand why a human, so small, so seemingly fragile, was able to make such clear, effective decisions. Her pride pricked her. She hated to admit it, but this human was extraordinary. The first wave of the apex predator's attack struck. Energy pulses slammed into the academy's shields. Lights flickered. Trainees screamed. And yet, under Jarek's calm orders, the defenses held. Drones intercepted energy blasts. Shields absorbed the worst of the impact. The chaos began to subside not because the threat had lessened, but because someone had taken command. Lyra's eyes widened. She had assumed he was just a trainee, someone weak, someone who would hide in fear. And yet, here he was, guiding others, thinking faster than anyone else in the room, keeping the academy alive. She stepped closer, almost forgetting her royal posture. As the alarm finally quieted, the first report came in. The predators had backed away, retreating slightly. The academy had survived the initial strike. Lyra's eyes followed Jarek as he checked every system, recalibrated the drones, and ensured all trainees were safe. Not a single misstep. Not a single hesitation. Lyra exhaled quietly, though she would never admit it aloud. She had been wrong. He was not just a trainee. He was far more than that. But she would not say it yet. That was for later. For now, she simply watched as the human worked calm, precise, and unshakable, showing skills that no one had expected. Skills that made her question everything she thought she knew about humans. The alarm faded, the predators vanished for now. But Lyra knew this was only the beginning. Something about this human, about Jarek, had changed the way she saw the galaxy, and she would never look at humans the same way again. The calm after the alarm was brief. The first wave of the apex predators had retreated, but their presence hung like a shadow over the academy. The trainees were tense, the instructors hurried through checks, and Princess Lyra paced silently in the observation deck, her eyes never leaving the stars beyond the transparent shields. She could still feel the vibrations from the predator's energy pulses, a reminder of how fragile the academy could be. Jarek remained at the control console, his hands moving quickly, but with a precision that inspired confidence. He was not panicking. His mind was a whirl of calculations, predictions, and contingencies. He had seen simulations. Yes, but this was different. Real lives depended on him now, not scores or assessments. Lyra, Instructor Varen called, his voice calm but urgent. The predators are regrouping. Sensors indicate multiple vessels approaching from a faster trajectory. They are not merely scouting. They are assessing us. If we do not act carefully, they will strike again. Harder. Lyra's sharp eyes narrowed. "Do we have enough defenses?" she asked, though her voice was quieter than usual. She did not like admitting fear, even to herself. Varen shook his head. "We have shields, drones, and the trainee squadrons, but coordination will be crucial. One misstep, and the station could be breached." Lyra's gaze fell on Jarek. He was already issuing orders, assigning drones to specific points, instructing cadets on energy distribution, and checking shield integrity. His voice was calm, direct, and precise. "You," Lyra said suddenly, pointing at him. "Do you have a plan for the Predator's next attack?" Jarek looked up, eyes steady. "I do," he said. "I've analyzed their speed, their attack angles, and the weak points in our station's shields. If we move the drones here, redirect power there, and coordinate the cadets along these paths, we can create openings that will confuse them. They rely on direct strikes. We'll force them to adapt." Lyra blinked. This was more than she had expected from any trainee. His words carried clarity and authority. She had assumed humans were fragile, indecisive, or weak. But this human, small, unassuming, and underestimated, was planning a defense that could save the academy. Varen nodded slowly. "It's risky, but it might work. Trainees, follow Jarek's instructions. Listen carefully." Lyra stayed silent, her pride and curiosity battling inside her. She could not deny the truth. He was extraordinary. The second wave of the apex predators arrived with terrifying speed. Their ships were massive, black as space itself, with glowing crimson lines that pulsed like hearts. They moved like predators in a coordinated hunt, circling the academy, testing its defenses. The sensors flashed red, warning of incoming strikes. Jarek's voice rang out. "Drones, move to upper orbit. Shield generators, increase output by 30%. Trainees, stay in formation. Wait for openings. Do not fire prematurely." Cadets and drones moved as he commanded. They responded to his calm authority, even though they had never met him before. Lyra watched, astonished, as Jarek directed the defense. An energy pulse struck one of the station's outer shields. The force made the floor shake, and trainees stumbled, but the shield held. Jarek adjusted the energy flow in real time, redirecting power to reinforce weak points. "Upper drones, intercept the lateral strike," he commanded. "Use the secondary emitters now." The drones followed instantly, weaving through the Predator's attack and deflecting their energy pulses. The predators seemed momentarily confused. They did not expect such precise coordination from a station full of trainees. Lyra could not look away. She had assumed he was fragile, inexperienced, and weak. She had assumed he was nothing more than a trainee to be overlooked. And now, she was seeing the truth. He was clever, brave, and capable. The predators adjusted. Their movements became more aggressive, more unpredictable. They were testing the humans, probing for weaknesses. One ship broke formation and launched a direct attack toward the main control tower. Alarms blared as the energy pulse streaked through space. "Main tower," a cadet shouted. "It's going to be hit." Jarek acted instantly. "Deflectors to front grid, now. Trainees, brace for impact. Use lateral shields to absorb the remainder." The shield glowed brighter, pulses rippling across its surface. The energy struck, sending tremors through the tower, but the shields held. The trainees gasped, and Lyra exhaled sharply. She had never felt such tension. Jarek didn't pause. He quickly scanned the incoming ships, recalculating their angles. Secondary drones, flank the Predator ship on its right. Redirect energy from the backup generators. Now, move. The cadets obeyed, guiding the drones into precise formations. The Predator ship was caught in the trap, its attack disrupted, its momentum thrown off. Jarek's plan was working. Lyra's thoughts raced. She had always believed humans were limited, fragile beings. And yet this one human was outsmarting apex predators. She felt a mixture of awe, surprise, and, against her pride, respect. The battle continued. More predator ships joined, circling like hunters around the academy. Some cadets panicked, shouting, and moving out of formation. But Jarek remained steady, guiding them with calm, precise instructions. "Focus on the patterns, not the size," he told them. "Energy pulses follow momentum. Predict it, adapt, work together." His words were simple, yet effective. The cadets followed, learning quickly. They began to move with coordination, following his lead. Even the instructors were impressed by his strategic thinking. One Predator ship broke through the outer shield, aiming directly at the Academy's hangar. Trainees scrambled to intercept. Jarek's voice rose above the alarms. "Listen carefully. Use the narrow passage between the asteroid field and the station. Guide it into the corridor. Avoid direct fire until I say." The trainees obeyed, hesitant at first, then with growing confidence. The Predator ship followed the path he had predicted, its momentum trapped, unable to adjust quickly. Jarek's calculations had turned the Predator's strength against itself. Lyra watched, wide-eyed, as the Predator ship collided with a defensive barrier. Its energy pulse deflected, harmlessly, into space. The cadets cheered quietly, not wanting to break focus, but the relief was clear. "Good," Jarek muttered under his breath. "One down. More to go." Lyra stepped closer, almost involuntarily. She had to see more. This human was no longer just a trainee. He was a leader, a strategist, someone who could guide others through unimaginable danger. The predators regrouped, more cautious now. They had sensed the human's ability to predict and adapt. Jarek did not hesitate. He quickly analyzed their new formation, adjusting the drones, shields, and cadets accordingly. Energy redirection to upper quadrant. Drones. Create a crossfire path. Lateral shields to full capacity. Cadets. Stay in formation. Watch my signals. The predators hesitated, sensing the trap. They had never faced an opponent like this before. Small, fragile-looking, yet so intelligent, so capable of commanding others. One predator ship broke formation, scanning for weaknesses. Jarek anticipated its move instantly. Flank left, upper drones, intercept. Redirect power from secondary emitters. Now. Now. The ship was caught again, unable to maneuver around the unexpected coordination. It was forced to retreat, blinking in surprise. Lyra could not speak. She had always assumed humans were weak. She had assumed Jarek was just a trainee, unworthy of attention. But here he was, standing firm, while apex predators hesitated. She felt a mixture of shock and admiration. The battle raged for hours. Jarek continued to direct defenses, calm and steady, never once allowing fear to cloud his decisions. Trainees gained confidence under his leadership, learning from his actions, following his guidance. Even Instructor Varen admitted quietly that he had never seen such composure from a trainee before. Finally, as the predators made a tactical withdrawal, the Academy's alarms quieted. The immediate danger had passed, though everyone knew it could return at any moment. The station had sustained minor damage, some drones had been lost, but no lives had been lost. Lyra walked toward Jarek, her usual pride softened. She had assumed he was nothing more than a trainee. She had assumed humans were limited. But her assumptions had been shattered. "Jarek," she said softly, not demanding attention but simply speaking. "You led them well. You held the Academy together when no one else could." Jarek looked up, sweat on his brow, breathing steady. He gave a modest smile. "I just did what I could. The cadets helped. The drones helped. Everyone did their part." Lyra shook her head slightly, a small smile forming. "No. You guided them. You made the difference. I assumed you were just a trainee, but you were the one they followed." Jarek glanced at her, his expression calm. "Sometimes, it doesn't matter who you are. What matters is what you do when it counts." Lyra remained silent, reflecting on the truth in his words. She had learned something valuable, not just about Jarek, but about humans. They could be underestimated, overlooked, and yet rise to meet challenges that even the most powerful aliens could not. The Academy began repairs, trainees returned to practice, but Lyra could not stop thinking about the human who had changed everything. She had assumed so much, and she had been wrong. And she knew, deep in her heart, that the galaxy had only begun to see what humans could do. The hum of the Academy's systems was steady, but the tension in the air remained thick. The first two waves of the apex predators had tested the station, but the threat was far from over. Lyra stood in the observation deck, staring at the dark expanse of space. Her cloak shimmered softly under the dim lighting. But her focus was entirely on the stars, on the ships that had vanished for now, and on the trainee who had completely changed her perception of humans. Jarek was already at the control console, scanning the sensors and calculating the predator's probable return patterns. He moved calmly, hands precise, eyes sharp. Sweat streaked his face. But his posture and voice betrayed no fear. For hours, he had guided cadets, rerouted energy, and outsmarted an enemy that seemed unstoppable. And now, he was preparing for what he knew would be the final assault. Lyra stepped closer, her curiosity pulling her forward despite her pride. Jarek looked up briefly. "Yes," he said simply. "They'll test us again. The predators learn quickly, but they underestimate strategy. We'll have one chance to make them hesitate. Maybe, to make them retreat." Lyra studied him. The confidence in his words, the calm determination it was impossible to ignore. He was no longer just a trainee. He had earned her attention, her respect, even if she would not admit it outright. Instructor Varen entered the room, his forearms moving to tap commands on the auxiliary console. "We are ready," he said. "Trainees are in position, drones are calibrated, shields at full power. The predators will return shortly." Jarek nodded. "Good. Let's make this count." Outside the station, the predators appeared again, emerging from the darkness like shadows of nightmare. Their ships moved with deadly precision, scanning for weakness. The cadets tensed, gripping controls, their fear masked by determination. Jarek remained calm, his voice guiding them. Upper drones. Maintain position, he instructed. Lateral shields at 60%. Ready to absorb impact. Observe the predator's speed and angles. Wait for my signal. Lyra watched as the predators analyzed the station, their glowing red lines pulsing. They were intelligent, adaptive, and deadly. This was no ordinary attack. And yet, the human at the console seemed undeterred, confident, calculating their moves before they even made them. The first predator ship struck, launching a beam of energy toward the outer shields. Alarms blared, lights flickered, and the station shook. The cadets braced themselves. Divert energy from the secondary shields to the front quadrant, Jarek commanded. Drones, intercept the incoming beam. Do not fire until I say. The drones moved precisely, weaving through the energy pulse, deflecting its force, while the shields absorbed the rest. The predators hesitated, sensing something unexpected. Jarek had predicted their attack, and the precision of his response had caught them off guard. Lyra's eyes widened. She had assumed humans were fragile. She had assumed this trainee was weak. And yet here he was, guiding the academy through an attack that could have destroyed everything. The predators adjusted, attempting a coordinated strike. 3 ships moved together, aiming for the main control tower and the hangar bay simultaneously. Panic rippled among the cadets. Cadets, listen carefully. Jarek's voice rang out, steady and commanding. Focus on the pattern, not the size. Use the drones to redirect momentum. Shield generators, full output. Follow my lead. The cadets obeyed, their fear tempered by his calm authority. Drones intercepted attacks, shields absorbed energy, and Jarek guided every move with precision. The predator's coordinated attack faltered under his strategy. Lyra took a step closer. She could no longer see him as a mere trainee. He was thinking faster than anyone else, predicting the predator's next moves, adapting in real time. Every action he took was deliberate, calculated, and effective. Secondary drones, flank the predator's right side, he commanded. Redirect energy from the auxiliary generators to support the crossfire. Now. I mean a C. The predators hesitated, sensing the trap. One ship tried to break formation, but it was too late. The drones intercepted it, forcing it to retreat slightly. Jarek's strategy was working. Lyra's thoughts raced. Humans had always seemed fragile, unprepared, and weak in her experience. But this human had changed everything. He was not just capable, he was brilliant. And he had saved countless lives already. The predators regrouped for a final, desperate assault. The largest ship, the apex of their hunting fleet, moved toward the station, its energy pulses growing brighter and more intense. The cadets tensed, readying for impact. Jarek analyzed the ship's trajectory instantly. We'll lure it into the corridor between the asteroid field and the station, he said. It will have no room to maneuver. Drones, form a channel. Shields, absorb minor pulses but maintain focus on the corridor. Trainees, stay calm and follow my commands precisely. Lyra watched, holding her breath. The station's defenses were set according to his plan. She had assumed he was weak, but he was leading everyone with a calm she could admire. The predator ship followed the path as predicted, its momentum guiding it into the trap. Drones flanked it, energy beams striking at precise points, forcing the predator to slow and redirect. Its movements became clumsy, its strategy thwarted by a human who seemed small and fragile, but was anything but. Now, Jarek shouted, activate the crossfire sequence. Energy beams struck the predator ship from multiple angles, while shields absorbed the redirected pulses. The ship struggled to escape, but found no path. It finally disengaged, retreating into the darkness of space, followed closely by the rest of the Predator fleet. The cadets cheered quietly, relief washing over them. The Academy had survived. No lives had been lost. The human who had been assumed weak had led them to victory. Lyra stood silently, her mind racing. She had assumed he was just a trainee, nothing more than an inexperienced human. But now, she knew the truth. He was brave, intelligent, and resourceful. He had earned respect not through title, not through rank, but through action under pressure. She approached him as the alarms quieted. "Jarek," she said softly, her voice steady. "I assumed you were weak. I assumed humans could not handle real danger. I was wrong." Jarek looked up, sweat on his brow, breathing steady. "I just did what needed to be done," he said modestly. "The cadets helped. The drones helped. Everyone did their part." Lyra shook her head, a small smile forming. "No. You guided them. You led when no one else could. You showed courage and skill no one expected. I misjudged you." He gave a small, quiet smile. "Sometimes, it doesn't matter what people assume. What matters is what you do when it counts." Lyra reflected on that. She had underestimated humans her entire life. But Jarek had changed her perspective. Humans were capable of brilliance, courage, and leadership even when others assumed they were weak. Instructor Varon approached, his eyes glowing faintly with respect. "Remarkable," he said. "I have never seen a trainee coordinate such a defense with such precision. You have earned the trust of everyone here, Jarek." Jarek nodded, modest. "I only did what I thought was necessary." Lyra studied him silently. She realized that this human was more than a trainee. He was a leader. Someone capable of facing threats that even elite pilots feared. Her assumptions had been wrong, and the lesson was clear. Humans could not be judged by appearance or rank alone. The Predators had retreated for now, but the galaxy had witnessed a human's courage and intelligence. The Academy had survived, not because of rank or title, but because someone underestimated had risen to the challenge. Lyra stood beside Jarek, looking out at the stars. She felt a quiet admiration, a sense of respect, and a new understanding of what humans could achieve. They were not weak. They were unpredictable, clever, and capable of inspiring others to follow them. Even apex predators had learned to hesitate. For the first time, Lyra thought about what the future might hold. If humans could survive and lead in such circumstances, what else might they achieve? What other surprises lay hidden in their nature, waiting for the right moment to shine? Jarek turned slightly, noticing her gaze. "Princess?" he asked. Lyra smiled faintly, her pride softened by awe. "I no longer assume," she said. "I see. And I respect what I see." Jarek nodded, modest and calm, as always. He had faced the apex predators, guided trainees, and held the Academy together. He had proven that courage, intelligence, and leadership could come from the most unlikely places. Lyra took a deep breath, feeling the truth of it resonate. She had learned that assumptions could be dangerous, and that humans, underestimated and overlooked, could rise to meet challenges no one expected. The stars outside glimmered, calm and infinite. The predators were gone for now. The Academy was safe, and a small human trainee had changed the way an alien princess and perhaps the galaxy saw the strength of humanity. The galaxy had seen it, and it would not forget.